All right, we're going to go ahead and start. We're going to skip the blue box up here and go straight into an angle in standard position. So I'm going to have you write down a definition for me. An angle is in standard position when the initial side is the positive x-axis. Okay, so we're going to start off with a definition. An angle is in standard position when the initial side is the positive x-axis. So what I want you to think about with an angle, we're going to look at sketching angles today, and I want you to imagine a clock. Okay, remember you have like an old-fashioned clock with the numbers on them and the hands. And when, like say I started at 12 o'clock, and I'm sorry to block that, let me step out of the way. So if I have both hands are on the 12, so that's 12 o'clock. The clock hand goes, we call it in the clockwise direction, but it's to the right, and it rotates around. Okay? Well, when we do angles and we start on the positive x-axis, I actually rotate counterclockwise to make positive angles. Counterclockwise. So what I want you to notice, and I put this here and I want you to underline it for me, the measure of an angle is positive when the rotation is counterclockwise, and the measure is negative when the rotation is clockwise. So in this, I have two examples here. If I want to rotate counterclockwise, positive 120, I start with the positive x-axis. You remember the x-axis is the horizontal line, and to the right, x's are positive, 1, 2, 3, 4, so on, and the negative numbers go left. So when I say positive x-axis, that's the x-axis to the right. This is my initial side, and here's the terminal side. I would like you to draw a picture here to the left. If I draw an axis, my x and y axes, if I don't rotate at all, that's 0 degrees. Up at the top, that's a rotation of 90 degrees. If I go all the way around here, how many degrees is that? 180. How many degrees is down here? Say it again. 270. And how many degrees is it if I make a full rotation? 360. Okay, I want us to do one more thing here. What if I cut the axes in half? Okay, let's make like an X. And to the best of your ability, make it look like it's going through the halfway marks. Well, what angle is halfway between 0 and 90? 45. Well, guess what? To figure out the rotation to this one on the left, it's 45 degrees in from 90. How many degrees is that? No. From the initial side all the way over here. 135. All right, now, how many angles from the initial side would it be to get all the way down here in the third quadrant? From 180, I've gone another 45. 225. And then if I've gone from 270, another 45. 315.
So it's just 45 times how many angles there are?
It's 45 more. 45 more. 45 more. All right, now look at this angle on the right, negative 120. A negative angle rotation is clockwise. And when you're sketching, you have to draw these little arcs, and I'll show you this in a little bit. So if I want to go negative 120, I know that's clockwise. If I go 90, how many more degrees do I have to go to negative 120? It's 30 degrees more. So when you're sketching, I'm not expecting perfection, but I'm expecting accurate drawings. So what I need you to know, and there's a method to my madness, the reason why I had us do the 45s is you need to figure out, is it halfway, is it less than halfway, or more than halfway in that quadrant? So if I look at negative 120, it's going 30 degrees more, that's not halfway. And if you're drawing it more than halfway, I would mark that wrong. So 30 degrees in is not quite halfway. So you want to make sure it's less than half. All right, so now let's look at example 1. It says, what are the measures of the angle below? I want you to think about, is it positive or negative, and how many degrees? So what do you guys think in letter A? Plus 90. And you can put the plus or not. You just definitely have to do it with the negatives. All right, flip the page. And we're going to look at something from geometry here. All right, do you see that it says this dot right here is the coordinate negative 2, 2? So watch what I'm going to do here. I'm going to drop a perpendicular line to the dot. And I'm going to create a right triangle. And I'm going left 2 and down 2. Yes, it's left is the negative 2 and down is the negative 2, but if I think about the sides of a triangle, you can't have negative sides of a triangle. So it is a distance of 2 left and a distance of 2 down. Now, from geometry, what kind of right triangle had the two sides were equal?
45, 45, 90.
Awesome, okay? That's a 45, 45. So I can actually figure out from the initial side to the terminal side, okay, initial is the beginning, terminal is where you end. Think of like the two hands of a clock. You're rotating one of them. That's the terminal one is the one that moves. So how many degrees is this angle?
Yeah.
225, right? And it is positive. All right, let's look at example 2. Then we're going to pause and do marker boards before we finish this. Or you know what? Maybe we will finish it and then do marker boards. All right, example 2. Sketch a drawing of each angle in standard position. 36 degrees. It's positive. That means counterclockwise. So I want you to make a dot and always do the initial side. It's a ray. Remember from geometry? It's a ray. 36 degrees. Is that halfway? No. It's a little bit less than halfway. So eyeball where is halfway and do a little bit less. And then one more thing you have to do. You need to draw a little arc with an arrow because that's going to tell me whether you're rotating clockwise or counterclockwise. All right, letter B, 315 degrees. So that's positive, so I'm going to go counterclockwise. And here's what I do. You've got to just memorize 0, 90, 180, 270, 360. You need to know where those 5 angles are. So if I start rotating, here's 90, 180, 270. It's not quite to 360. So it's 4th quadrant. Is it halfway?
Yes.
It's exactly halfway. So do the best of your ability to make it look like it's halfway. And then watch this. Here's my arc arrow. I start from the initial side, counterclockwise to the terminal side. All right, negative 150. Uh-oh. What do we have to do with a negative angle? Go clockwise. All right. So here we go. I'm going to start with my initial side, and let me explain something with negative rotations. I start and I'm going to go clockwise, and it goes negative 90, negative 180, negative 270, negative 360. So it just goes in the opposite way, but negative 90, negative 180, negative 270, negative 360. So here's negative 90. How many degrees into the next quadrant do I need to go? 60. That's more than halfway. So you're going to draw an arrow more than halfway, and here's your arc. All right. Okay, last topic, coterminal angles. We're going to do a definition here. All right, two angles in standard form are coterminal if they share the same initial side and terminal side. Again, two angles in standard position, or excuse me, standard position are coterminal if they share the same initial side and terminal side. And I have an example here to the right. I said 135 degrees and negative 225 degrees are coterminal. Do you see they have the same initial side, but 135 rotates counterclockwise and stops here with this terminal side. Negative 225 starts the same initial side, and it went clockwise. Do you see? They have the same initial side and terminal side. Yeah.
Would it be pretty easy to figure out their coterminal by adding them together and getting 360?
Well, negative 225 plus 135 is not
Take off the
360.
negative, basically.
Um,
Would that work most of the time? This is
let's
just
see,
curiosity.
because I'm not sure.
If those two add to 360, you take the negative
Yeah, I don't think it works all the time, but let's experiment with the ones that we do,
off. Okay.
because that's a really, really interesting question. Because then let's look at example 3. It says one of these is not coterminal with the others. And so you're right that there's something related to the 360. So here's what you could write down. To find coterminal angles, add or subtract 360 degrees. Write this down. Write it below example 3, above example 3, beside example 3, anywhere you can fit it in. To find coterminal angles, you just add or subtract 360. So what I want to do with 300, if I add 360, that's 660 degrees. I don't see it in the list. But what if I take 300 and I subtract 360? What do we get? Uh-oh, that's in my list, right? So those are coterminal. Now, what if I take negative 60 and I subtract 360? What do you get? Hey, that's in my list, right? So 300, negative 60, negative 420 are all coterminal. So, Joshua, if I take 300 and negative 420, does that add to 360 in any way?
Not exactly.
No, it doesn't. So I suspected that might be a problem for us. All right, so what I would like you to do is I would like you to grab a marker board and we're going to do some practice here. Yeah.